Good times often get better when we get bolder, but it required Esther in this moment to get bolder. Now, we know this principle applies in everyday life, right? So if you've gone to a water park recently, and you're never too old to go to a water park, you go to a water park, and you see, or an amusement park, and you see that giant slide, or you see that roller coaster, and you think, man, I'd really like to try that, but it looks a little too scary for me. So what do? You don't go to the biggest one at first. You work your way up. You find that smaller slide or that smaller ride, and you test out your guts and your inner sense of balance. And if you can do that smaller ride, you think, oh, that was kind of fun. And then you go to the bigger ride or to the bigger slide. And then you go to the bigger ride and the bigger slide. And maybe you get a huge wedgie. I don't know. But what you find is that the good time that started with just like trying this one slide or this one roller coaster, you keep pushing yourself to try something bigger. I remember the last time I went skiing, it's like, I haven't skied for like 20 years. Can I really do this? So you start with the bunny hill, right? And you're like, oh, that's not so bad. I'll try the blue. Hey, that's not so bad. I'll try the diamonds. And then you run into a tree. Like at some point you have to stop, right? But good times get better when we get bolder. We know how this principle applies. By the way, this applies in food too. It's like nobody is content with Doritos when you could have bold Doritos like this, like spicy nacho. Who wants a plain old Dorito when you could have spicy nacho Dorito? Who wants plain old Canada Dry? Boring ginger ale like that. That's weak. I want Canada Bold. You know how marketers do this, right? They throw the word bold on there and it says, I should give that a try. Good times often get better when we get bolder. So if you hear nothing today from this sermon, you should try a snack when you're watching football today of Canada Dry Bold and Dorito Bold chips, and you'll have a great time. No, we can overdo this, and we'll see next week that they overdid this. But this principle applies. You want a little bit more freedom at work. So you ask your boss, is it okay if I leave early on Fridays? I'll work hard all through the week, but I would love to be able to leave at 3 o'clock on Fridays, especially with it getting so dark. I have a commute home. So you ask for that. And the boss says, yes. And you're feeling pretty good about that. With something like that, you can build and you could say, hey, is it possible that I could have like a 3-day weekend? I mean, eventually you're going to go too far, right? But you got to try it. Honey, I'd like to have a night with the guys. She says, okay. I'd like to spend every weekend with the guys. She says, no. But the principle applies. Good times often get better when we get bolder. And honestly, for some of you, your life is just a little bit less than it could be because you're afraid to ask. We learned last week that there's great power when you ask. But it requires boldness to ask for stuff. Ask God big prayers. Okay, ask for the little ones first. Build up the belief that he actually listens to you when you pray. Because good times get better when we get bolder.